Welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. The first story is called "This is the Next Station." A few years ago, I was working as a conductor for a local train company. As we were about to leave a station, a warning was issued that something was wrong with the train signal transmitter. As per protocol, the passengers were asked to leave the train and move on to a replacement bus. Now, it was kind of late, around 7 or 8 PM, and there were maybe 20 people on board, so we didn't think much of it. About 10 minutes pass, and as I'm making my way to the back of the train to check a control panel, I notice a man still sitting in one of the seats in the last cart. I stop, a little confused, and I say, "Excuse me sir, but perhaps you didn't hear before, the train is..." The man, not even looking up from his phone, tells me, "Yeah, I heard you." I was now actually confused and pause for a bit. Then I say, "Well sir, you have to leave the train. I'm sure we'll be moving again soon." "Sir, that doesn't matter. No passengers are allowed to stay on the train." "Look girlie, I'm not getting off this train just so you and your lazy friends up there," he points at the camera in the corner, "can have a break." As he spoke, he got up from his seat. This man was probably in his late 40s, easily 6'5" and 240 pounds, towering over me. I knew he was trying to intimidate me to leave. But since the cameras were on and he'd even pointed them out himself, I found it hard to believe he'd actually do something. So I pressed on. "Sir, I'm asking you politely to step off this train." He huffed at me and sat back down, without answering. "Sir?" He just grunted a nah at me. By this point I'm getting frustrated and tired of this idiot. I muster my sternest look and voice and try one last time. "Sir, the train is not going to move and you are not allowed to be on it." I said I'm not moving. Are you really this dumb? Just shut up and don't tell me anything unless it's that we are at the next station. "Well, alright." I paint on my customer smile and tell him with a sugary voice, "Alright sir, I will." And I hear him mutter under his breath as I leave. I tell my coworker what happened and he freaks out at first. But as we are not allowed to forcibly remove passengers ourselves and the nearest security guard is 45 minutes away, I tell him to leave the situation to me. He reluctantly agrees. 20 minutes pass and the signal transmitter error is solved. We get permission to move and are told to go back to our starting station to wait for our next scheduled trip. This of course means we are turning around and not continuing our planned route. It doesn't take long from when we leave the station that there's a knock on my door. I know it's the man, but as he can't see into my cabin, I don't answer the door. A few more knocks and then he leaves. The trip back to our starting station takes about 45 minutes and I call ahead to have a security guard waiting there for us. As we approach the station, I find the man pacing in the hallways and I can tell he is absolutely furious. I'm trying so hard not to laugh out loud at his tomato red face. "Sir, we are nearing the next station." He was trembling over his word in anger. "This is not my station." I look him dead in the eye with a fake, very overly done, confused face as the train pulls up to the platform and I can see the guard through the window. "Well, no sir, you told me not to talk to you unless it was to tell you when we were at the next station. This is the next station. We are here, so I'm telling you." The man was visibly shaking at this point. He was spitting out words that I couldn't apprehend. When the security guard tapped him on the shoulder and asked him to step off, he exploded in a fit of rage. This ultimately ended with the police escorting him off the premises. The next story is called "Keep Digging." Long ago, in a land a couple of 100 miles away, my father wanted to dress up the front corner of our property with a section of decorative fence and a few rose bushes. Myself, being a teenage boy and not having the good sense to be somewhere else, was drafted to help him one hot July Saturday afternoon. We brought the new fence post to the corner of the lot, along with a shovel and a post hole digger, and set about the task. It was a long, slow process, as the clay-heavy soil was fairly dry and hard-baked. And as such, each hole was taking the better part of 20 minutes to dig. This definitely wasn't on the list of things I wanted to spend my afternoon doing, but such is life. Right about the time that we started on the final hole, my mom yelled to Dad from the house, announcing that he had a phone call. As these were the days before mobile phones, Dad headed off to the house and instructed me to keep digging until I get back. Lucky for me, this hole went a bit different than the first 4. About the moment he got to the door of the house, I busted through the clay layer into much sandier soil. Here I could get a couple of inches of soil in one scoop, rather than perhaps a 1/4 inch per scoop. Easy peasy. Now, I was a good kid. I didn't cause trouble of any significant variety, I got good grades, and I helped out around the house when I got caught unawares. But seizing an opportunity for malicious compliance was definitely among my personal strengths. So I kept digging and digging. Post holer in, squeeze, post holer out, dump, repeat. Dad wasn't on that phone call very long. But I made good time, and by the time I saw him at the door coming back, I was quite literally putting the post holer all the way into the ground. So if I had to guess, I would say that hole was about 5 feet deep. How's it going? I think it's deep enough now. Let's put the post in and check. I had a huge grin while he stoops over to pick up the post. Dad proceeds to drop the post in the hole, all the way in the hole. These posts were maybe hip height when installed, probably about 5 feet long themselves. So there's Dad, momentarily struck speechless, amazement washing across his face. He looks at me. I shrug and say, "You told me to keep digging until you got back." He laughs, "You little jerk." Dad had to grab the post with his fingertips and pull it back out of the hole. It wasn't but a few seconds of work to refill the hole to the proper depth. And to this day he loves telling the story of his maliciously compliant son. The third story is called Bad Idea for a Punishment. I joined a sorority my freshman year of college. Everything was just peachy until my senior year. I had a huge workload and was trying to graduate on time, so I didn't have to take summer classes. So my time was very limited and most of it spent in the library studying. During that time I was absent from quite a bit of mandatory sorority meetings. Seriously, there would be like 2 a day and it was getting ridiculous, not to mention time consuming. So I stopped going to the ones that interfered with my class and study schedule. Since I was not attending meetings, I was put on probation for my sorority and was told I was to pay a fine of $20 for every missed meeting. Now I knew there was no documentation that I ever signed that said that they had the right to fine me for missing meetings. Sure enough, I asked for proof in the sorority bylaws and there was no passage that said that they could fine me for missing meetings. They could impose fines for other things, but not this. So I refused to pay and thought that would be the end of it. But I was wrong, of course. The next day, the sorority president and chapter leader sit me down. They tell me that since they can't find me, they can find some other way for me to be punished for missing meetings. I just rolled my eyes and asked them what they had in mind. They told me that I could get off probation if I would help make improvements around the sorority house. Specifically by filling in the holes left by nails, screws and door handles with spackle. Now normally I would have laughed in their face, but my mind was already forming an idea. They said they would provide the materials, but they said nothing about training me on how to properly do it or even asking me if I'd ever done it before. I just asked, if I do this, we are good, right? And they agreed. I never asked about being trained and they never provided any. So I complied with their request and spackled every hole in the walls of the sorority. How much did I use? Well, considering I had no idea what I was doing, it varied from hole to hole. So now, instead of holes, there were a variety of different hills and some mountain ranges sticking out of the walls. I provided the finest manual labor that a 21-year-old college student with no formal carpentry training could do, which was absolute crap. I was never spoken to about it, although I'm sure they cursed me up and down behind my back. And about 2 to 3 days later, they had a professional come in to fix my work. Nothing was ever said to me again about missing meetings. I think they just gave up trying to punish me at that point, since I was graduating in like 2 months. The last story is called I Think Your Customer Just Fired You. Years ago I was very into going to the salon for hair, nails and such. I slowly reduced the amount I was spending there as I grew up. Car loan, student loan, rent, all demanded my money. But my acrylic nails were the only thing I could not get rid of without dealing with permanent lasting damage, or so I was told by my nail tech. So I kept plunking down the money every 2 weeks. I was a loyal customer and tipped 25% at a time when the average customer tipped 10%. But my nail tech had started taking me for granted. She was talking over my head to her friends during appointments, making fun of my polished color choices as a joke and once even refusing to paint my nails a color she didn't like. The final straw was when her attitude started to affect her work. One week I was her last appointment of the day. We finished up at 3 PM on a Saturday and she wanted to go home and rest before going out that night. She had just applied a full new set of nails to both of my hands and rushed me out the door, even as I complained my nails were still sticky. She told me to just be careful about opening doors and touching things. Over the weekend, 3 nails fell off my hand. By the time the salon reopened on Tuesday, 4 more nails fell off, leaving me with 3 acrylic nails on one hand and none on the other. I called my tech to get them fixed, but she told me she was completely booked until my next appointment in 2 weeks. As you may understand, I was livid. The day before my appointment, when I was also booked for a spa pedicure in addition to a manicure, I called to cancel my appointments. It was a 3-hour time block on a Saturday. The salon owner took the call and said the nail tech isn't going to be happy. I responded that maybe now she could fit in other customers whose nails fell off because she was too concerned with her social life to do the job properly. The salon owner and the tech tried to charge me for the time, but I pointed out that I had given the required 24 hours to cancel. The nail tech then threatened to never take me as a customer again when the owner pointed out, "I think your customer just fired you." And with that, today's episode ends. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. I hope you have a great day. Bye bye.